Hi everyone, this video will be a walkthrough of how to use Adobe Acrobat to make a PDF more accessible. So I'm going to start by using the accessibility checker. This is in Adobe Acrobat and it pretty much just gives you a rundown of anything in the document that needs editing. So we can see here it says image only PDF, so it failed that test, and that is because this is scanned. So what we want to do is we want to use OCR to recognize the text. You can then click Recognize Text and it will begin the OCR process. And now to double check that it worked, we can go to All Tools and Edit PDF. It's making it editable. And it looks like it worked. I'm gonna X this out and try to edit something. So it looks like in the top right here, there was an 8 or something that got cut off, so we can get rid of that. And yes, it looks like we can modify it. Now that we've done that, if we go back to the accessibility checker, we can click check again and we can see that that issue has been resolved. So next thing we want to do is if there's any text that we need to cut. So it looks like here on the left, there is some text that had gotten cut off a little bit. So that's not really necessary. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these bullet points and the check marks and replace them with bullet points and check marks in Adobe Acrobat. This is because sometimes screen readers will recognize these as V's for the check marks and O's for the bullet points. While it's not necessary for screen reader compatibility, I'm going to also change the font to sans serif font and make the font size and line and letter spacing consistent, just so that it's also accessible as possible for users who do not use screen readers. So here it's also saying that the title test failed, so we can manually just go in, change the title in document properties, and then once we've finished that, if we close it, we can check it again and it should be marked as resolved. Another test here is the primary language test. It also failed, so to resolve this, we can click Fix and set it to English and then click OK. That should be done. It's also saying that it's not a tagged PDF yet, and if we try to add alt text to an image, it says there's no figure information to display, and that's because we don't have any tags in here yet. Same issues here, tag content failed. So what we want to do is auto tag it. Adobe Acrobat will do this for you. So we can just search for the auto tag tool and it will run it. It'll show you the recognition report. And then here we go. These are the tags of everything inside the document. If we go down to the last tag, so the last part down here, there's a section and it says figure. So this is our new figure tag for the image at the bottom. And if we edit this, we see that there is a way to add alternative text for this image. So we can go ahead and put that in. And then once we close it, that should be resolved. Another thing that needs review is logical reading order, so we can search for that, select it, and see the order that things are in. If we click on Show Order Panel, we can reorder things ourselves. Overall, things look okay, but there is something over there on the right side of the page, that exhibit note, that might make more sense if it were the second thing that was read rather than the last thing read on page 1. So if we want to modify this, we can click on it in the side panel and drag it up so that it's in the second place. So now we can see that it's in the second place and overall things look to be in order. Besides that, we can go back to the accessibility checker report, and since this is something that needs manual check, we can manually mark it as passed. So it's also saying that we failed appropriate nesting. So this means we need to go into the tags and make sure that the headers are at the appropriate levels. So header 1 should be headers that are higher up than header 3, for example. And right now, the main header that says section 3.3 on the second page is actually lower than the headers for these different lists on page 1. So we need to go in, change those, make sure they're consistent and formatted in a way so that the layers are appropriate. So here we can change this main header for section 3.3, changes over time, to header number 1, because this is the most important, like the biggest header. So we can change that, and then underneath it, it says entry choices. This is sort of second tier, so we can go in and change this one to header level 2. And then returning to the first page, we can change these ones to level 3s so that they're lower than what's on the second page, because those are more important. And from here, we should be all set to go ahead and try this on a screen reader.
In page 1, containing chapter 3 external analysis, industry structure, competitive forces, and strategic groups, exhibit 3.5/ the 5 forces competitive analysis checklist. Source, adapted M.E. Porter, 2008, the 5 competitive forces that shape strategy. Harvard Business Review, January. You are current, heading level 3, the threat of entry is high when. Content list 7 items. You are current.
So right here, it's treating this as a list, and it is saying that there are 7 items in this list, which is great because for a blind user, they want to know how many pieces there are to the section before they move on to the next list.
On a content list, inside of a page, to begin interacting with the items in this list, press Ctrl, Option, Shift, down arrow. In content list, group 1 of 7, the minimum efficient scale to compete in an industry is low. Network effects are not present. Customer switching costs are low. Capital requirements are low. Incumbents do not possess. Group 1 of 2, sublevel. Content list 5 of 7. Bullet brand loyalty, group 1 of 6, sublevel. Bullet proprietary technology, group 2 of 6. Bullet preferential access to raw materials. Bullet preferential access to distribution channels. Bullet favorable geographic location. Bullet cumulative learning and experience effects. End of content list sublevel. End of content list sublevel. You are restrictive government regulations do not exist. New entrants expect that incumbents will not or cannot retaliate. Group. End of content list.
So as we can see, this PDF is now accessible to a screen reader. The user can go through the text and get everything in the correct order because of the headings that we made.
Dynamics. Heading level 2, entry choices. One of the key insights of the 5 forces model is that the more profitable an industry, the more attractive it becomes to competitors. Let's assume a firm's strategic leaders are aware of potential barriers to entry, discussed above, but would nonetheless like to contemplate visual displaying the 5 entry choices described in the text image.
Also, the alt text that we added for this image is showing up, so that means that we have made this accessible to a screen reader. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video was helpful.